There's no doubt that fueling an EV like this is much cheaper than a combustion engine. But by how much, and how do you make that happen? For a while I've had a standard meter and I've been using this 3-pin to charge the car really slowly. So I got in touch with Electric Ireland, who have agreed to put in a home charger for me so that I can make a series of videos to help guide people through what you need to know about it. So let's start off with the most expensive one, and that's DC public chargers. And something like an Ionity without any of the passports can cost just over 70 cents a unit. Now at that rate you're looking at parity, maybe fractionally cheaper than the equivalent combustion engine vehicle. But the really cheap stuff starts when you've got a driveway like this and you can get your home charger. Electric Ireland did a really tidy job in installing this Zappy charger here. So we're going to use their rates just to see how cheap it is to charge an EV. And as you can see here, as a year-round average, I get 14.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers out of this old Nissan Leaf. So let's use the example of an EV that's got a 50 kilowatt hour battery just to make it easier to crunch the numbers and understand it. So if you had a standard meter and you got a 24-hour rate of just over 25 cents, then that 50 kilowatt hour battery would cost you €12.86 to fully charge. At that rate of 14.6 and you had a 50 kilowatt hour battery, then you would get a range of 342 kilometers out of that full charge. It starts to get really cheap when you use something like this. So you get out to charge settings, choose that mode. You can then go down to boost timer and set when you want that car to charge during the night to take advantage of those cheaper night rates. Sticking with the Electric Ireland example, you get the night boost rate there. That's between 2 and 4 a.m. and you're down to 8.84 cents a unit, which means that a full charge on that 50 kilowatt hour battery is only €4.42. But you have to be realistic, and it's worth noting that when you do get those smart tariffs such as the night boost rate, you tend to pay more for that electricity during the day or at peak times, depending on which rate you get. And it's worth making sure that you get the right tariff for you. One of the things I love about Electric Ireland installing the Zappy was that you get the app with it and give you all that historical data, and I can tell by looking through that app that just over half the electricity that I use in the whole house is to charge the car, which is perfect for those night boost rates. Now here comes the juicy part where we actually compare that to a combustion engine. And for that I'm going to use the example of a car that's similar in size to this in terms of leg room, boot space and so on. And I'm going to presume 6 litres per 100 kilometres fuel consumption. At the 6 litres per 100 kilometres, it would cost you 20.5 litres. And at today's rates of €1.75 per litre, that's €35.96 to cover that same 342 kilometres. So using today's example shows you just how much you can save. From €35.96 worth of petrol or diesel to cover that 342 kilometres, all the way down to €4.42 potentially.